We're going to answer another of your questions now. We love these. Keep these coming in. We're getting some really good questions. Some of them are genuinely strange, and those are my favourites. Others are a bit more kind of the moment. Maybe something you want explaining, or you don't quite understand, or just something that's always been in your head. Right, this is actually quite a good one. This is something I've wondered, and we get an answer to it now.
Elliot Webb's What the Facts.
Bella in Starport has been in touch. Hello, Bella. Wants to know, it's got a long message, but in a nutshell, why we sometimes wake up before the alarm goes off, or equally, some people can just wake up. My dad always used to be able to do this. I didn't inherit this. He wouldn't ever set an alarm, but he could just wake up. He'd just think, I've got to be up at 7 o'clock and do it. It's like, how is that even a thing? So it's a good question from Bella. Why do some people wake up just before the alarm goes off, or can just wake themselves up without an alarm? Let's speak to Dr Lindsay Browning, a sleep expert. Afternoon.
Good afternoon. It's a great question.
It is a great question. And can we get a great answer, please, Lindsay? No pressure.
Of course. So the reality is, if we regularly set our alarm for the same time each morning, so you have to be up for work and we always get up at 7:30, say, then we have a thing called our circadian rhythm, which is our sort of roughly 24-hour clock. And it helps our body to know what time it is, irrespective of needing to look at the clock. So the point is, if we get used to being woken up, say, at 7:30, your body clock, your circadian rhythm starts to learn that 7:30 is morning. So what happens is, before your alarm goes off, your body's already preparing you for wakefulness, for morning. Your cortisol levels will be rising, your body temperature will be increasing, your blood pressure will start to rise. All these things happen before we wake up. So therefore, your body's used to waking up at 7:30. So just before 7:30, it's like, okay, it's time to wake up. And you might find yourself waking up 30 seconds, a minute, a couple of minutes, 5 minutes before the alarm. And that's really normal. And actually, if that happens to you, it's a really good sign, because it means that your body is waking up at the right time. If you're waking up to the alarm, that might be a sign that actually you need a bit more sleep, because if you're still sound asleep when your alarm goes off, often that's a sign that maybe we might think that we only need 7 hours, but maybe you need a bit more.
I think you might have answered my follow-up question there, because I was about to say I spend a lot of my life getting up, and I don't think I've ever once woken up before the alarm. So clearly I'm going to bed too late, aren't I?
It could be the case indeed. Yeah, if you're waking up naturally just before the alarm, it's a sign that everything's sort of working the way it should do. But there's a very big difference between waking up sort of a few minutes before your alarm and waking up, say, at 4 a.m, 5 a.m, and not being able to get back to sleep again, because that's a problem. That's when you're waking up much too early. Might be a sign of stress or anxiety, menopause, depression, something like that. So if you're waking up way too early, maybe have a look at what's going on in your life. Maybe your sleep quality isn't as good as it could be. But if you're waking up sort of just before the alarm, that's great. And you mentioned that your dad, for example, never set an alarm.
He was brilliant at it. I mean, now he just spends half his life asleep. But when he was younger, he could do that.
So for some people, especially I work a lot with people who wake up too early, basically. If you're always waking up much too early, people often will come to see me and they'll say, I never set an alarm. I don't need to, because I'm always awake way before the alarm, like an hour, 2 hours before. But the trouble is, if you don't set an alarm, even if you're likely to wake up before it, if you don't set an alarm, you have to look at the clock when you wake up just to check, And actually not setting an alarm makes you need to wake up before the alarm to check the time to make sure you don't oversleep. So as a routine rule, as a sleep expert, I always ask my patients and my clients to set an alarm, because it just gives you that backup. Well, and if you wake up a minute or two before, that's great.
And also, I suppose, if you're relying on, I've got to be somewhere at, say, 8 o'clock, I will wake myself up at 6:30. You've then got the anxiety that you might not. So that presumably is going to mean that your brain isn't quite in the right place for a proper restful sleep.
Exactly. So if you need to get up for an early flight or something really important, the best thing to do is to make sure that you have a really reliable alarm. Because if any part of your brain thinks, I might sleep through the alarm, you're going to wake up, every hour, on the hour, through the night, because you're so anxious about sleeping through that alarm. So get a really good quality alarm that is going to wake you up, and then you can just sleep peacefully, knowing that if you wake up to the alarm, you'll be fine.
And then you're lucky. Yeah, it's good. I suppose the other problem as well with the modern world is most people's alarm now are on their phone, and therefore you've got your phone in your hand before you go to sleep, and you're tempted to do a bit of doom scrolling on social media.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say that having your phone, I mean, I have my phone in my room because I've got kids at university and I don't want to not be contactable.
Yeah.
But the point is, you can have your phone in your room just out of arm's reach. You know, if you're someone who's going to be tempted to just check the latest score of the night, the match on the, the World Cup in the middle of the night, just put it slightly out of arm's reach. So the alarm's still going to go off. You can be woken by it. You can be contactable in cases of emergency, but it's not going to be too close to you to be too tempting to doom scroll or check on all the latest scores in the World Cup throughout the night.
I mean, you'd be forgiven last night, though. I think England's results, that's different. You're allowed.
It was great. Yeah,
it was great.
I was waking up. I was there watching it. So,
Lindsay, that's a brilliant answer. Thank you so much for that. And a great question from Bella as well. Thanks for answering.